Ciao a tutti and welcome to Venice Talks, a podcast series about Venice in Italy. My name is Monica Cesarato and I am a Venetian food and travel blogger. I'm going to put my insider knowledge at your disposal to help you discover Venice at 360 degrees. Each week, I will be chatting to the people who really matter, the Venetian. So follow me on the discovery of its artisans, writers, fashion designers, artists, glassmakers, bloggers, and much, much more. Come to visit Venice the right and sustainable way. You can find me on my blog www.monicacesarato.com and also on all social media. Enjoy the episode. Welcome back to Venice Talks, episode number 37. Hi everybody and welcome back to Venice Talks. Today I'm very thrilled because I am so lucky that I get to interview my first museum in Venice. And today with me, I've got Valeria Finocchi, the director of Museo Palazzo Grimani. Ciao Valeria, how are you?
Ciao Monica, I'm fine, thank you.
And I got to say, I told you before last time we spoke, and I'm so happy because of all the museum, yours is one of my favorite, but also you are my first interview as a museum for Venice. So I'm very happy to have you today.
And me too, I'm very glad. Thank you for asking us to do this interview.
First of all, let's explain. Can you give us a brief history of Palazzo Grimani?
Yeah. First of all, I have to say that Museo di Palazzo Grimani is a statale museum, a public museum belonging to Direzione Regionale Musei Veneto, and it is a young museum because we opened in 2008. After almost 25 years of restoration.
I stop you there 1 second. 2008, I started my blog. So we shared.
Wow.
Oh, I know. I like you even more now.
It's a sign of heaven.
I know. Carry on. Sorry.
Yeah, because this palace, this building was bought by the Italian state in 1981. And so after 25 years of restoration and some years of study, the museum opened in 2008. I was not here. I am the director from since the 2022, but I've been working here from 2017.
You've been here for a while, yes.
The palace, the Palazzo Grimani, is one of the most singular palace in Venice. It was bought by Antonio Grimani from the Grimani family, which was a noble family of the Serenissima Repubblica. Was bought in almost the middle of the 15th century. And it was a very traditional building for talking about traditional architecture, Venetian architecture. But during the 16th century, it was restored and rebuilt, taking as a model the domus, the Roman domus, and the Roman palaces of the Renaissance.
But it's something very particular in Venice, because usually the other buildings don't have it.
The only one with this shape, because usually the traditional architecture in Venice, the building are building they are rectangular with a very big room.
The piano nobile.
And small rooms on the two sides. But Palazzo Grimani in the 16th century became a building that has a shape of quadrato.
Square?
Square shape with a courtyard inside.
But it's already very particular already, the fact that he has a courtyard on the inside and an open courtyard as well.
Because usually in the traditional buildings in Venice, the courtyard is aside.
Or have a back, right? So like a garden or something.
And this plan this plan of the building is the plan of the Roman, the building
villas.
Built in the 16th century in Rome, such as Palazzo Farnese, Palazzo Sacchetti, Palazzo Altemps, and so on. And this characteristic, Palazzo Grimani was the only building with this plan, and until the end of the 17th century in Venice. So it was an unicum.
So, Valeria, the reason why the palace is so different, it comes from the Grimani family, because the Grimani family has a strong liaison with Rome, right?
Yes, exactly. They really loved the Roman culture, and with Roman and antique culture, so Roman and Greek, antique Roman and Greek culture, and their contemporary Roman culture. And this is the reason why when they started to decorate the building, they decided to call and to ask to Roman artists to do this decoration. So not Venetian artists, but Roman, or artists that were not Roman, that were not born in Rome, but that used to work in Rome for most of their life, such as Giovanni da Udine.
Okay, that's because they wanted the architects that used to use the Roman architecture styles, and
no, but I'm not talking about architects, because we don't have an architect for the building. For many years, the architectural historians thought that the architect should be San Michele, but Michele San Michele, but probably we don't have an architect. And Giovanni Grimani, which was the grandson of Antonio Grimani, the man who bought the building, Giovanni Grimani, the patriarch Giovanni Grimani, was the real architect, because he was, in Italian we say, dilettante di architettura. That means that he was not an architect, he was a priest, he was a patriarch of Aquileia, so he was he studied theology, philosophy, and so on, and he was a patrizio veneziano, a noble, but he was very interested in architecture, and so probably he decided how to build the new part of the building, and probably talking with or collaborating with several architects, because we have here some parts of the building that refers to Palladio architecture, Sansovino architecture, Serlio architecture. So probably maybe these architects work here to build, for instance, the oval staircase, Palladio, or the porticos in the courtyard, Serlio, but we are not sure that they really work here. Or is it possible that Giovanni Grimani knew their how can I say, their their theory about architecture and their building, and get inspiration from them.
So that makes a palazzo even more unique, because it's not just that is not your traditional Venetian style, but it's also a mixture of styles. And oh my God, I didn't know this part. I mean, I knew the part about being, based on Roman architecture, and, it was so different, but I didn't realize it was such a, in a way, respecting what Venice is, a multi-ethnical kind. It's a multi-ethnical kind of building.
Palazzo Grimani, it is a patchwork.
Yeah, that's fantastic.
You don't feel it when you are inside. The first look, you don't feel it because it's very coherent.
Yes.
But if you look at the building for several years, as we do, because we stay here every day, you can recognize
Yes,
these
yes.
signs.
I mean, I start spotting these kind of things. Not some in some rooms. There are some corridors that are different. There are like little alcoves that you don't have in other buildings in Venice. You have, I don't know,
Yeah.
it's just some little things, and sometimes they're bigger things that, I mean, even if you do not know about architecture, like me, I don't know nothing about architecture, you know, I know very little, but you do feel it. You do see that when you walk in other buildings in Venice, it is complete. It is different. It is different. But you were saying to me that when you were referring about the different style, you meant the sculptures, right? Is that what you meant when we were you were stopping me before when you said the artist?
No, the sculptures are ancient. Refers to the Roman and Greek culture from the 2nd century before Christ to the 3rd century before Christ. So because here but this is the this collection refers to Giovanni Grimani because he was a great collector of ancient sculpture, and he decided to put this collection here inside the museum. Well, now it's a museum. It was
in his home, yeah.
But before that, Giovanni Grimani and his brother Vettore Grimani, that died very early, started to decorate with frescoes and stuccos some rooms. And so they call at first they call an artist that is called Giovanni da Udine, which was born in Udine, which is in town in Friuli, but he worked for all his life long, almost, in the Bottega di Raffaello, in Raphael Bottega. So he was not a collaborator. He was, how can I say? He was quite at the same level of Raphael, because Raphael used to paint the stories, and Giovanni da Udine used to create the decoration. So when you look at the decoration of Stanze Vaticane in the Vatican Palace, you see there are frame painted with frescoes or frame made of stuccos, and this part belongs to Giovanni da Udine. The parts that show a story belongs to Raphael, and Giovanni da Udine was a great decorator, and unfortunately nowadays not a lot, but until some decades ago, the art history used to judge the decorator, the artists that used to make only decoration in a lower way than the real artist that used to paint stories. So Giovanni da Udine was a little bit forgotten during the centuries, but at the end of the 15th, at the beginning of the 16th century, he was great artist.
Yeah, of course.
He was known by everyone.
So for him to have come to Venice and did the work for Grimani,
he came to Venice because Raphael died in 1520, and then in 1527 there was the Sacco di Roma, that when the Lanzichenecchi, I don't know how to say Lanzichenecchi.
I think we leave it with that.
Yeah.
Not myself.
Lanzichenecchi, so the German came to Rome and they destroyed the city, the Pope go away.
Took everything away.
And so all the artists that used to work in Rome, and most of them used to work with Raphael, decided to go away, to go out from Rome, and Giovanni da Udine came back in Veneto and Friuli area, and so the Grimani decided to call him to make this decoration, because he was famous, because he was the best artist for stuccos decoration.
And is him that did the Tribuna then?
No.
Ah, that's another artist.
He decorated two Camerini, Camerino di Callisto, Camerino di Apollo. Camerino d'Apollo was decorated by Giovanni da Udine, that made the decoration, and Francesco Salviati that paint the stories about Apollo and Marsyas.
Okay, so let's talk about the Tribuna. What is the Tribuna Grimani? That is the most iconic
first
room.
Decoration refers to the first half of the 16th century. But in the second half of the 16th century, Giovanni Grimani decided to enlarge the building and create this new room that was created especially and directly to host the most important part of the collection. So the particular, the main characteristic of this room is that architecture was created in function of the sculpture. So every part of the architectural decoration, because the room is completely decorated with the marbles.
Yeah,
so
and little
columns,
little niches. Yes.
Yeah, exactly.
Niches, yeah.
Every part became support. I don't know how to say in English.
Support
for the statue or for a sculpture.
Yeah,
that means could be a statue, a big statue, small statue, a head,
a portrait, or something like
exactly.
that. And he is. Am I wrong in saying that he's inspired by the? Oh my God, I got a moment.
The Pantheon.
The Pantheon in Rome.
Yes, exactly. There are the two models are the Pantheon, which was probably the most used model in the Renaissance time from the Roman architecture, and the Sacrestia Nuova di San Lorenzo by Michelangelo Buonarroti.
Okay, so the characteristic of his room is, first of all, is now that he's back to his glory, because for many years, unfortunately, all the statues were missing, but now it's finally back.
They were not missing.
No, I mean missing from a room.
Because Giovanni Grimani, at the end of his life, decided to donate the collection to the Serenissima Repubblica. So the statues, after his death, were moved from Palazzo Grimani to San Mark, to the Libreria Marciana.
Yeah, I knew they weren't missing.
But I was explaining. They remained there, but they moved from Libreria to Palazzo Ducale, and then Napoleon bring some of them to Paris, but then they came back. They have a great history, but then they stayed there, not here. But in 2019,
the city,
my director decided to bring them back here in Palazzo Grimani, and so the Tribuna now is full of
I know, and it's amazing. But I think also, apart from that, all the statues is incredible. I think the most iconic part of a room is the rape of Ganymede, and the hanging, and I think it's just amazing. And it was meant to be there as well. Was it always
absolutely yes?
Okay.
The rape of Ganymede is in the same position of the 16th century.
Wow.
Where Giovanni Grimani decided to put it.
Okay.
And it was one of the very few pieces of the collection that arrived here in Palazzo Grimani from the beginning, so from 2008.
Okay.
So the Tribuna was empty until 2019, except from the Rape of Ganymede, which was still there in the center of the ceiling.
So how you as a director, and obviously you weren't director when it happened, but you were still in the museum. So how exciting was it when finally all of the statues were in place? Did you guys cry or something? I mean,
no,
but how exciting!
No, but I explain to you why. I tell every time that I feel a little bit of envy to people. Sono invidiosa.
Yeah, you're envy. Yeah, right.
To people that came here maybe for the first time and see the Tribuna with all the statues for the first time, because I didn't see this. I see all the process. And so I didn't have the possibility of seeing the Tribuna with all the statues for the first time. I see the Tribuna
filling up. Okay.
So yes, well, I can tell you that before moving the statues, we were a little bit afraid, because we didn't know the final effect.
Of course.
And we were afraid that the final effect would be will not match with the taste of the contemporary visitors.
Of course, yes.
But fortunately, it was not like this.
It's amazing.
The visitors, when a person enter in the Tribuna, they always remain without words.
I know. I can tell you. I mean, I've been visiting the museum before you restored all the and all of a sudden I walked in and I went, oh my God. And the only thing I was upset is because I had people before me and people behind me, so I had to be quick about it. And I wish I came on a day when there was nobody around. But it was amazing. It really was.
And it's one of my favorite moments during my job when I do some visits or guide tours. The moment when they enter in the Tribuna is always very exciting for us.
It is. I've been in the Pantheon, and you get the same. It is. You get the same feeling. I mean, apart from obviously the ceiling of, thankfully, you don't have water coming in. It's a good thing about it. But the light, the game of light that you have inside.
Can I explain this?
Of course.
The reason why the Rape of Ganymede was put there, and also the reason why there is a window up to the statue, because the ceiling, the vault is open with a window, with a lanterna, so the light enters from the top of the room, and this has two meanings and two functions, a symbolical function and a practical function. The practical one is that, and Giovanni Grimani knew that the light coming from the top is the best light to illuminate sculpture.
Of course.
This is not the same with paintings.
Absolutely.
But for sculpture is the best light. So he knew this because Sebastiano Serlio wrote it in his books of architecture, and he decided to open this window on the top of the room. But it has also a symbolical meaning, because the light in every culture, I think, of the world and of the centuries is related with God. So in Palazzo Grimani, starting from the rooms that are before the Tribuna, in that part of the square, from Camerondono, there was like a path like a symbolical path with many content that is too difficult to explain here, but related to theology and philosophy, and to the way in which the soul of people could reach God, looking at beauty. Is a Neoplatonian reflection. So the end of this path was the Tribuna, and so the soul look at the rape of Ganymede, which is Jove, Zeus, that rape Ganymede, so a god that rape a man, such as God rape our soul and bring it to the light, to heaven.
Wow.
This is the meaning. Is shortly described because it's very complex, but this is the meaning of this part of the palace and of the position of the rape of Ganymede in the room.
Of course. And that's what's interesting about this palace, that every single niche, every single corner, every single wall or ceiling is actually got a second meaning. It is full of references, not
yes,
I mean
exactly.
if I'm wrong, also esoterical stuff, because I think they
exactly.
Okay.
And we didn't
just
recognize
now
everything.
Valeria, just now I went like, oh wow, I said it right. Okay, so that's I think that's is Palazzo Grimani for me is one of the buildings in Venice that must be visited, in my opinion, with a guide, because even if you come and you visit it on your own, it's beautiful, but there are so many hidden things to discover that makes it so extra special. But for me personally, I did it on my own, and then I was lucky enough to do it with a guide, and all of a sudden I look at it in totally different way. And the first time I saw it, I liked it, don't get me wrong, I loved it, but I didn't really understand it. Once I did it with a guide, all of a sudden it was, oh my God, this is my favorite museum in Venice, definitely, because it's a home as well. It's not just a museum. I think,
and this is the reason why it's a place that you have to visit more than one time.
Yeah, absolutely.
Coming back here, you always discover something new.
Exactly.
You can always reach something, some new content. And so we have a lot of visitors that came here. They wrote it in the book.
How many visitors do you get per year, more or less?
Well, this is a great question, because this number changed a lot from the
before and after the pandemic, right?
No. Before the Tribuna with the statues.
Okay.
But that it was almost the pandemic, because we opened Tribuna with the statues in May 2019, and in November we got the Acqua Alta, and we remained closed for 1 month. And
did you get a lot of damages with the Acqua Alta downstairs?
Yes, it was a very, very worse period, bad period, absolutely. A very bad moment. And then the pandemic arrives. And so we closed for a lot of months, and when we were open, we had these rules, so we could not have a lot of visitors inside. So probably the first year in that we can now say it's a good year to know how many visitors we have is 2022. We had almost 60,000 visitors, 57,000. And in 2018 we had 22,000.
Wow.
Yes.
Okay. So, guys, to whatever you listen, when I'm saying to you that Venice is not just the Doge's Palace and Rialto,
Yes,
and
absolutely.
please, please, I mean, museums like Palazzo Grimani are the real hidden gems. Forget about what a lot of other people say to you. Oh, you know, we need a gem, and then they show you like Doge's Palace. Okay, no. Palazzo Grimani is a real hidden gem, but it's not so hidden because then you had VIPs coming to visit you, haven't you?
Yes.
Okay. Can we do some name dropping of the
Oh,
most
well, we
people
had
you had?
Mike Jagger.
Yeah, Mick Jagger. I know. I remember the picture, and I was like, "Oh my god!"
See, I was never here.
Oh darn! Never. Okay.
I didn't meet anybody
Blimey.
because
Okay.
they came.
Now as a director,
They always came in Sunday. I'm not here during Sunday.
well, you
And
should.
because they didn't say before.
Oh, they don't tell you before. They just turn
No,
up.
no, they came here
Beautiful.
with
Fantastic.
with friends and so I was not here. I was here. I met well, probably your friends don't know. I met Giorgione, you know, the cook from Gambero Rosso.
Okay.
But I love him, so I was very happy. And but Chiara Ferragni came here, some influencers.
Okay, so Chiara Ferragni came, and she didn't tell everybody the people should come and visit Palazzo Grimani.
She make a story on Instagram,
and that's it.
about Palazzo Grimani.
See, these influencers that don't understand that they need to do a post, not just a story. A story disappears. You need to write an article about it. We need to get people to talk about you guys. Listen, I got a question for you. So you also do a lot of temporary exhibitions.
Yes.
So this is a complicated question. How important is the relationship between the artist intervention, the environment like Palazzo Grimani, and the public that comes? Because of course the exhibitions are about contemporary artists. It will not be about, obviously, they're not classical artists. So how important is for Palazzo Grimani to choose the right artist? How do you choose the right artist as well?
Well,
I know it's complicated, but you know, I have to give you a complicated question.
I can say that we don't choose, we don't look for.
Okay.
We receive
request.
Proposal. And we choose thinking about the best, thinking about how this project relate with the space.
Okay.
But for instance, with the Baselix exhibition,
that was amazing.
Yeah, that project, how can I say, flow, and si è develop together with the Gagosian collection, Gagosian gallery, and the Baselitz team. So we didn't have a project from him. We decided to make something together.
Okay.
And then the project creates itself.
Nice. I like this.
But
okay.
We have this we continue this collaboration with the Gagosian collection, and usually they propose to us artists. And then we try to create an exhibition that with the contemporary works of art that dialogue with the decoration and the space of Palazzo Grimani.
Have you got
sometimes we had the possibility of making an exhibition which was not planned, but which fortunately is good for us, for this space, and then we say okay, yes. We don't have a real we don't have rules.
Okay, can I just say, you're actually in line with what the building is all about, since the building didn't have any rules.
So can you repeat the question?
I said that you're actually following the philosophy of a building. The building didn't have any.
Yes,
So you're actually doing exactly the same
yes,
thing. I think that's what Grimani would have done.
Yeah, and this is the sentence that always the director of Direzione Regionale Musei Veneto, which is Daniele Ferrara, said, talking about Palazzo Grimani, because he is very he has a great affection with Palazzo Grimani, because he was the director before me, and he was the art historian that studied Palazzo Grimani before the opening in 2008. So I always talk to him when I have to decide something.
Of course.
And he is very how can I say, this is one of his best sentence, to say that Palazzo Grimani, the way our program, our project with artist, contemporary art exhibition or exhibition now is the same. We say mutatis mutandis, is the same way of thinking about art and creation and art production that the Grimani had
in his mind. It's amazing. This is actually fantastic, because it's not easy to 300-400 years later to be able to do exactly the same thing. So the last thing I want to talk about that I think you are great, and this regards me in particular, is I think Palazzo Grimani should get #1 for your social media, because you're really good at it.
But you don't have to talk with me, but with my colleague Marco Mazzocco.
As a director,
of
the
course,
compliments go to the director.
I have to share, because I have to
them.
say that in here in Museo di Palazzo Grimani, I have a great staff, really great staff, because we are a few people, but they work very well. So if we do something good, it's not only because of me, but because of me and my staff. And Marco Mazzocco is the colleague that follow the social media, especially Twitter, Instagram and Facebook, and now especially Instagram. We are focusing on Instagram.
But you do Twitter, very well as well. But I got to say,
and Valeria Ferraro and my colleague Valeria Ferraro follow the Twitter.
Because Valeria, you have to understand that Twitter in Italy is so underestimated. But abroad, but at the end of the day, you want mainly foreign people to come to see you. Abroad, Twitter is used much more, and in a much more Twitter is for cultural people, is a journalist, is a media, is a people that people interested in art, and so many other museums don't use Twitter, and I think it's so wrong. I mean, Instagram, fantastic.
I will tell her, and she will be very happy because she is following Twitter very well. I cannot in this moment, for me it's very difficult to work on the field of the social media.
But you shouldn't. You're busy being a director.
So they are really selfish in this, and they work very well. I can say that we decided to I don't know how to say in English, approfittare, do you know?
Take advantage.
Take advantage of the lockdown period.
Yeah, you did.
To enforce our presence on social media, and we really think about how to use them differently.
Exactly.
And I think that we made a great job.
You did. Well, you see, the point is with social media is that lots of people don't understand, and I'm talking about when it should be used in this case, is the word media was supposed to be communication. Social media is to communicate. And we were talking about it, me and you, the other day about this, that my goal with the podcast was to educate people, to show people through the talks, how much more there is to do in Venice, because the only way, personally, I think that we can change the tide of numbers of people coming into the city, and maybe to still have big numbers, but people staying for longer and then investing in the city, is to educate. And social medias can be used to educate, should be used to educate. But right now, most of the people use them for stupid things, when instead, like you do your beautiful videos, you write beautiful posts on Facebook, and you do write beautiful things also on Twitter. This is how you change people, you educate. So as you can spread bad news and fake news, then also you can spread the good, right?
Yeah. And can I tell just one more thing?
Yeah, of course.
We are now working a lot, considering the time that we could dedicate to this, but we are really working and want to work on the field of inclusion and accessibility.
Mm-hmm. Okay, that's very important.
And
Okay.
this is also a program that I'm very interested in, and I think because I think that nowadays museum could not absolutely didn't be accessible to
Yes, of course.
the most of the people.
Okay.
And so we are now thinking about our barriers.
Okay.
And how to
But in
solve
Venice,
them.
Venice is already a double problem. It's not
Yeah,
just a basic
yeah.
problem; it's a
We're
huge
talking about
problem.
physical barriers, but we don't think about only to that, but also to sensorial barriers.
Yes, I was going to ask you. So it's not just about the accessibility, as in disabled accessibility. You're talking about also for blind people and
blind
other
people,
kind.
deaf people,
Yes.
people with cognitive
Yes,
problems.
that's fantastic.
Also foreign people. People from other cultures, and
fantastic.
Yeah,
Listen,
this is one of my pallino, we said in Italian.
Yeah, one of your goals, one of your missions, one of your chiodo fisso.
Yeah, chiodo fisso.
Right. Listen, the last question, apart from asking you another couple of things after, so whatever, but very quickly. So one last thing, is it, if people want to come and visit Palazzo Grimani, is it possible for them to to book a guided tour, or do they have to do it with private guides?
We don't have a service of guided tour because we are not enough.
Okay.
So when people came, some groups ask, usually groups, if there is the possibility, we do guided tours, but it's not so easy. But we do guided tours during some special events or special days, such as Festa dei Musei or Giornata.
Or like in a couple of days, you're going to have an art night.
Art night, yes.
You're going to be open.
We create for art night, we create a game with the Querini Stampaglia Museum.
Oh, nice.
But it's full. So nobody can so it's full.
Yeah, of course.
We sell all the tickets.
Oh my God, that's good.
If somebody asks us, we can how can I say, suggest
some guides.
We have
specialized.
We work with, but we don't suggest as we don't have any collaborate. We had some collaboration with some guides groups.
Yes.
But we don't how can I say, we don't have a specific
guide.
Group.
Of course. But if somebody asks you, say, look, you can refer to this group, and then they
cannot do it because everybody should be able to come here.
Of course. Okay, last thing, where your website and your social medias, please.
Okay, nowadays we don't have a website of the museum.
Okay.
We are creating it.
Okay.
There is a website of the Direzione Regionale Museo Veneto, and on that website there is the page of Palazzo Grimani with all the information. So
okay, but I will put after in the podcast. Okay.
So in there are all the information about the palace, about the tickets, and so on. But we are now projecting the new website of the museum that will be paid with the PNRR fund.
Fantastic. Okay.
Yes.
Good.
And so that would be a real website with the content, images, and so on.
Fantastic.
For the social media, we have the Facebook account, which is just Palazzo Grimani, because it was created it was created not by the museum, by the private, how can I say, dei servizi aggiuntivi,
yes,
private,
of course, for people very used to run.
And after we took the page and we started to
work on it.
Yeah, exactly. So the name is Palazzo Grimani, but the name of the museum correctly is Museo di Palazzo Grimani. And on Instagram is Museo di Palazzo Grimani, and on Twitter is Museo di Palazzo Grimani.
Okay, Valeria, what can I say? I'm so happy. She was so worried because she was very worried about her English. And I got to say, Valeria, you are one of the people that spoke the best English ever on this podcast.
Yeah, it's a miracle.
No.
But somebody put his head on my head and decided to
you did fantastic. Thank you so much. And thank you so much for giving me the time now, because I know you're very, very busy.
Thank you.
I can't wait to come. But next time I come, I want to meet you there, because
I wait for you here.
I want to have a tour with a director. And guys, as I repeat, Museo di Palazzo Grimani is an amazing place. And trust me, you very rarely queue. So that's another add-on. Okay. It's never really that packed. So only until this podcast will go out, and then it will become very famous. But it's actually a fantastic place to go and to really soak up art in Venice. Thank you again, Valeria, and I'll speak to you soon. Okay, ciao.
Thank you. Bye. Ciao, Monica.
Oh, what a beautiful, interesting chat with Valeria. You can find Palazzo Grimani website by writing Palazzo Grimani, and then you can find them on Facebook as Palazzo Grimani, and on the rest of the social medias as Museo di Palazzo Grimani. Thank you again for listening. If you want to book a food tour or a cooking experience with me, you can find me on my blog www.monicacesarato.com or at cookingvenice.com, and also on all social medias with the handle at Monica Cesarato and at Cooking Venice. Feel free to leave a comment or write to info@monicacesarato.com for more information about the people featured in the podcast or Venice. Bye bye!